This is WFYI News Now. It's May 2nd, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, Ivy Tech Community College will lose about 5% of its state funding. Indiana Humanities will receive more than $200,000 in emergency funds as part of a national response to the recent loss of federal support. And many of Indiana's coal ash ponds are in the floodplain, putting them at a greater risk for spills. And experts say prevention is crucial.
So not storing waste in the floodplain in the first place. And there are several other states that are way ahead of us on that.
Those stories coming up. But first, the CEO of the Carmel Christkindlmarkt resigned from her role. Maria Adele Rosenfeld was the founding CEO of the organization, which started in 2017 under the then Carmel mayor, Jim Brainerd. According to a press release by Carmel Christkindlmarkt, Inc., Rosenfeld's leadership brought national and international attention to the market. It received nearly 10,000 visitors each day in 2024 and generated more than $9 million in sales. The market's economic impact on Hamilton County was around $24 million that year alone. According to reporting from the Indianapolis Star, Rosenfeld wrote in her resignation letter that she was excluded from key decisions involving the market and that, quote, "it had become abundantly clear to me that this board does not want me in this role," end quote. Rosenfeld's resignation was effective April 30th, according to the organization's press release. Ivy Tech Community College will lose about 5% of its state funding under the latest budget. From WFYI's Education Desk, Dylan Pierce-McCoy reports that the college is already making cuts.
Ivy Tech Community College will no longer offer free summer school classes to all Indiana high schoolers. The statewide community college system has offered free classes for several years. More than 4,000 students enrolled in 2023. Ivy Tech attributed its decision to cancel the program to what it describes as a challenging fiscal environment impacting all higher education institutions in the state. Some Indiana high schoolers will still be eligible for free courses through a state program called Crossing the Finish Line. It covers students who are only a few credits away from earning a high-quality credential. I'm Dylan Pierce-McCoy.
Indiana Humanities will receive more than $200,000 in emergency funds as part of a national response to a recent loss of federal support. Indiana Humanities was notified last month that its $1.3 million federal grant, which made up 35 to 40% of the nonprofit's budget, would be terminated. Now the Federation of State Humanities Councils is giving $15 million in grants to humanities councils across the nation, including in Indiana. Indiana Humanities President and CEO Kira Amstutz said in a press release, the funding will, quote, allow us to continue serving the community in the short term as we navigate the changing landscape and identify new revenue streams, end quote. The organization still has a funding gap of around $500,000 for this fiscal year. And for our final story today, heavy rains last month flooded parts of central and southern Indiana. Fortunately, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management says it didn't receive any reports of damage to the state's coal ash ponds. But as Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel reports, many of those ponds are in the floodplain, putting them at a greater risk for spills.
Coal ash is the waste left over from burning coal, which can contain toxic heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, and arsenic. Flooding could damage the caps that cover the coal ash ponds, causing the ash to leak out and pollute waterways nearby. Some utilities also used coal ash as fill on coal plant sites. Indra Frank is the coal ash advisor for the Hoosier Environmental Council. She says the best solution is prevention.
So not storing waste in the floodplain in the first place. And there are several other states that are way ahead of us on that.
She says states like the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Virginia are disposing of their coal ash on higher ground or sending the ash off to be used in products like cement. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
Indiana utilities with coal ash ponds are required to inspect them for damage every week and monitor the groundwater at least once a year. The floodwaters last month made it unsafe for contractors to do regular monitoring for at least 2 coal ash sites. That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Drew Daudelin and Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on Monday.